Thanks for joining us at 616 Comic Reviews. This is Aaron here. We're looking at Marvel Legacy Tales of Suspense featuring Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier. It's number 100. It's the Red Ledger, part 1 of 5. Welcome back to 616 Comic Reviews. This is Aaron here. We're looking at Tales of Suspense featuring Hawkeye and Winter Soldier from the Marvel Legacy. It's number 100. It's the Red Ledger miniseries, 1 of 5. So it's written by Matthew Rosenberg. The artist is Travel Foreman, and the color artist is Rochelle Rosenberg. You got the cover artist, Marco Cicchetto. I hope I didn't say it wrong. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm sorry about that. But I love your cover, bro. I love the cover. Matter of fact, the cover is what my friend bought it for, the guy who asked me to review it. It's a pretty good cover, I gotta say. I would have bought it too if I was him. Big fan of Black Widow, big fan of Winter Soldier. I really love the dynamics of the cover myself. So let's dive into it. Okay, so it starts out that Clint Barton, he's sitting at a funeral, looking. It seems like he's on a mission or something, and he's talking about how he hates these things, and he doesn't understand funerals, and he doesn't understand how people, how letting go of what happened could be good. I think he's kind of looking back on Black Widow's death over, which it says was like 3 months ago. And he's makes his way to the casket. He gets to the casket and he makes a comment. Damn, he looks really messed up. And the guy next to him hears it, and I think he kind of takes offense, and he asks him who he is, and he tells him my name is Clint, and then he's like, Clint who? And after a minute of talking, he just decides he's gonna walk off because he doesn't like him. At the end, well, they mentioned the other thing is the guy's kind of pompous. He's kind of pompous. He says that he's an important guy, and he's from like a delegation for some country called Chennai or something like that. And so he thinks he's hot crap. And as the Clint walks away, he goes up and he mentions in his ear, "Hail Hydra," and it changes the whole dynamic of what goes down inside of there and the way they act with him. They start to get nervous, and they start questioning and asking him questions. And after a minute, he's like, I gotta get out of here, because he can tell something's coming. And sure enough, they start to attack him, and of course he goes crazy on them, and he beats all of them up to the point where he grabs this candlestick thing, and it lights the curtains on fire. And as the fire's going up, this old guy comes up to put out the fire with the fire extinguisher, and he thinks he's gonna hit him with it, so he kicks him in the face, and the whole place ends up burning down. And the funny thing, I really like this. This is the credits page. I really like how they did it. It's really easy to read. The contrast of it is really nice. I like how they, had the Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier. It's obvious who they are because of the obvious patterns on the colored patterns on the uniforms. It's really cool. I like that, the way they did that. And then so it goes back. Clint's sitting down with the guy he just struck in the nose, and he's talking to him, and the guy's complaining about how he just burnt his club down, and then how he's complaining how he lives there, so all of his stuff is burned down, and he said Tony Stark will pay for it all. And the police come up and they start questioning him, and they think they're gonna arrest him, because I don't know for what reason, but they said they're gonna arrest him, and he shows his Avengers badge, and then it just calls it good, I guess. And they just have to leave him alone, I guess. He's got some secret privileges or something. Anyways, So then it gets to him. He's coming off of a plane. He's kind of getting everybody caught up on what's been going on. And Hawkeye basically says that, Black Widow died because of Steve Rogers, Captain America. Of course, he was the Hail Hydra Captain America. And because he killed Black Widow, all the kind of stuff that's been going down. And he mentions how he doesn't think, he makes a comment about how he's there to look for a friend, because he doesn't think Black Widow's dead. So he's kind of wandering through the streets, just fresh off the plane, and there's a couple people that are following him, and they're trailing him, and they're very obviously trailing him. So he heard there was a protest going on, and he used the crowd to get away from him. And as he goes up there, he realizes that his target's in the building that they're all protesting at, and that he figures someone else is using that to get into that building, using the protest as a diversion. But he needs a bigger diversion. So he guesses that there's going to be a bigger diversion. As soon as he says it, boom, an explosion goes off, and the diversion he was talking about is there, which is right there. He's also mentioning how it was pre-planned, almost like a false flag attack, which is kind of interesting. So anyways, he makes his way forward and needs to get in there. And as he goes his way forward, one of the police kind of starts to surround him and attack him. And of course, he uses that to get towards the door. And as soon as he gets towards the door, he flips over the back of him, and then basically takes the guys out. So he gets inside. When he gets in there, he's with one of the guys who he thinks is going to be assassinated. He thinks Black Widow is going around and assassinating people and killing people that she didn't like or would have assassinated. And this is one of her next targets. So he's there to make sure that he can find Natalie, but that she doesn't kill that guy. And then what happens is someone starts shooting at him through the window. Now he immediately knows that it couldn't have been Natalie, because Natalie would have never shot at him. So he knows that, and he fires a couple arrows back in the direction of whoever it is, thinking it may be Natalie. And then of course the Winter Soldier comes busting through the window, knocking him down. And then after this, they pretty much, after they figure out who they are, they go through a little bit of the history of Winter Soldier and him and their relationship. They're not a big fans. They don't like each other. So they really don't get along, is what it sounds like. They both were dating. They both dated Natalie, or Black Widow, and you find out that they're both looking for the same person. They're both looking for a Black Widow. They both think she's alive. So they're kind of working together on that. And then it ends with them noticing that someone that they just know that it wouldn't have been that easy. That they found, one thing they said is that Winter Soldier was saying that every assassin put out by the Russians through that scientist, or that communist mind control program, that they all were given a special signature that they would leave so that they could claim credit for what they did. And they found her signature, but no one had died. Since no one had died, how could she leave her signature? And then they opened up this container, and boom, the whole office goes up. And that's where they leave you, is at that scene right there, the office blowing up. And that's the end of the first comic. So, for the review, because I literally just read this before I did the review, it's a newer one. I've been reading trade paperbacks and doing reviews on older ones. So this is one of the first newer ones I've done. and I got another 2 of these that I'm gonna read too. So, you know, get back to us for the review on those. But one thing I would say is that the art is actually pretty good. It's not really detailed. I'm used to really detailed artists. Those are my favorite art. I gotta say, a lot of it is not as detailed as I would have liked. Like on, you know, some of the pages they'll have really detailed parts on them, but then on the faces there's like no detail. You know, it's not, in my opinion, the best art in the world, but then there's some panels that are just really, really good. Like, I love the way that he did the crowds in most cases. Like, I'm not a big fan of the undetailed faces, but when you look at the bodies and everything else, it's really, really good. It's like at times they got a good face. And I mean, I'm no artist, so I can't really say that I could do any better, but I've seen better, you know. And there's some where like this one where there's like his face is really, really, really detailed. It's got a little, you know, shading to it. You can see the definition of his face, but then the one right above him is almost like no definition. I do like the blurring effects of the action. I do like a lot of the action. The story, I mean, it's a brand new comic. It just came out. I have the other two. Number 2 and 3 so far. And I'll be honest with you, just after reading this one, I don't think I would necessarily be too excited. I mean, I do kind of want to know what's going on with Black Widow, like what happened to her, is she still alive? That interests me, that intrigues me, because Black Widow is intriguing to me. But at the same time, I feel like there definitely wasn't nothing to hook me into really wanting to go there. Like, okay, you introduced Winter Soldier, you introduced him, but nothing else happened in the whole comic. And this is the comic, this, to me, when you release a number 1, like the number 1 should bring you into it. Like, this is your hook. You gotta hook the people here to get them to buy the next one and hopefully every other one after. So if the story isn't compelling enough to make me want to get to the next one, then, I mean, to me, it doesn't ring true. And I feel like at this point, if I hadn't bought the other 2, I'd probably, if I didn't have the other 2, I probably wouldn't read the next one, honestly. So it's hard to know. I'll like I said, I got the other 2. I'm gonna review those 2, and we'll go from there and see, you know, where we go. See how good it really is. So check out the next one. I'll give this one. Oh yeah, the rating. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 for a couple reasons. It's a number 1. I felt like I was not hooked by the story. Like, it was okay, but it didn't hook me at all. It didn't really pull me in. And then, you know, the art was really good, but it wasn't super pristine. And on the first one, I mean, this is the one that pulls everybody in. So, I would say a 6 out of 10. You never know. Maybe the story will pick up in number 2. I will let you know. So check out, you know, the next video in this line, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us at 616 Comic Reviews.